All right, so today it's February 18th, 2022, and we
We're
are on
only
episode,
the 18th already. Oh my gosh.
I know, right? And we are on episode 4, season 2 of the Jen and Fane show. And today, Fane is going to teach us and educate us on stucco exteriors because I know very little about it, other than I've seen a few homes with it. And so here in Durham region, we don't have a lot of that. I mean, but in Toronto, we're seeing more of that. So hey, I'm going to learn from you today.
Absolutely. So, just to kind of give a bit of a background, in the early 90s,
Hmm.
it actually was the building code to have a complete, what they call it, California stucco, right? So, I'm talking about primarily larger condominium buildings, row homes or townhouse buildings. That was the code, was to use this California style stucco. It was really popular in the States. And then, of course, as people started thinking that this was a, kind of a miracle product, it
Hmm.
started kind of traveling upward, traveling north to where we are. But of course, as everybody knows, living in BC, I mean, we're basically in a rainforest.
Okay.
And, so in comparison to California, which is more desert like, they don't get nearly enough or as much rain as we do here.
Yeah,
So,
so stucco must be falling off.
oh my gosh, right.
Is it?
Bingo. Yeah, so what was happening? So I know, right? Like,
Because
I know
stucco
the
does not like water.
90s, there's a lot of funny things that came out of the 90s with regards to the building codes and construction, but early 1990s buildings, typically they have like the salmon pink or like the cream color exterior. And it kind of looks like not concrete, but almost like a painted concrete. Um, and basically it's a porous material. So what was happening is that all of the rain was falling onto the exterior of the buildings, and then the moisture was getting trapped underneath, and then the
Uh-huh.
mold was starting to grow from the inside out.
Ooh.
Horrible, horrible. So,
Eeh.
yeah, I mean, for not only the health reasons, but from the financing standpoint, as we got into the mid 90s and early 2000s, well, what was happening was all of these condominium and townhome buildings were needed. Basically what they had to do is pull off all of the cladding, take out all of the mold, everything that's in, like all of the nasty stuff, and they had to put what's called a rain screen. Do you guys have rain screen technology there?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with what that is. So no.
So basically what that is, it's almost like it's probably about two like a 2-inch gap between the actual inside of the building and then the shell. So the
Okay.
shell is kind of like a rain screen. So what that does, it allows the so if this is the side of the building, it allows the rain to come onto the building, and then it will have metal flashing along each level. And so the metal flashing will pour outwards so that it doesn't stick and soak into the inside of the building.
Okay, so
Also,
it doesn't damage interior and get in behind it.
it creates a shell so that the building can breathe, and it also deflects the water away from
Okay.
what seeps inside.
So does this become an insurance issue for people, these
Oh
types of
my
homes,
gosh,
or what are some
yes,
of the issues that
absolutely.
besides the mold issue, what other sort of things as from a realtor's perspective as a buyer,
Yes.
what would you educate me on?
So the first thing, if I drive up to a building and I don't see those metal flashings that are going to be along every level in the building, right away I know, okay, this is a stucco exterior building built in the 90s, so that automatically that triggers a red flag in the back of my mind. And then if I don't see that metal flashing there, well then it's pretty darn safe to assume that it has not yet been rain screened. Now, to educate a buyer about that, what that means is that, I mean, it's just a matter of time as to when it needs to be rain screened, not if, but when, because everything is basically is having,
Obviously, they're gonna have a home inspection, and the home inspector is gonna go
course,
through all of that stuff.
of course,
So that would be something that you would definitely educate your buyers on. Have a home inspection
for sure.
and call their insurance company.
Absolutely, absolutely, and also just to know that it's a really big expense if it does need to be rain screened. There was,
So is that reflective in the price, in the offer price at all,
um
or does that matter to buyers in this market?
yeah, you know what? It still reflects, so the price points of these types of buildings are definitely going to be a lower price point, just to begin with. Just and I think also too, it's really about the realtor that's going to educate their buyers about the reality of what could happen if you are buying a stucco
So
building that has not been
so
re-screened
do you have contractors there that specialize in this kind of work to get, these repairs done, or
yet.
is it something that can be removed? Do you know?
Yeah, yeah, it is something that can be removed. It's just it's a really big expense. Like I've seen $50,000 a person. Like they're really it's an extensive project. So sometimes you'll see all these big buildings full like under tarps and all of the under construction and whatnot. And I mean, once it's been done, the building on the outside looks amazing, but
Mhm.
it's a lot of work to be able to do that because you usually also have to do all of the windows as well because all of the
What do you
water.
mean, like, replace them?
Mhm. Yeah.
Are they typically wood windows then?
They're aluminum. Yeah. So
Okay,
they're
but the
they
windows get damaged at the same time.
yeah, yeah. So they would usually replace them at the same time because it's an easier job to do them both at one time, like both at the same time rather than having to do the stucco once and then removing them and then damaging the stucco. So it does make more sense financially in the long run to be able to do the windows as well. And usually they're replaced with the double pane vinyl windows.
All right. Well, good to know. So, anybody looking at homes like this have to be concerned about insurance, having it inspected to make sure there's no other major problems with it,
Yeah,
in terms of damage to the actual construction of the home, right? And
absolutely.
yeah, so all right. Well, that's great information. If anybody has any comments, questions, post them in the comments below.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.